It's great to be here. This is my first GIS day, and it's awesome to be here and get to talk about what I love with a great crowd of like-minded folks. It's also a special treat to get to present with Andrew, who's a friend from our college geography days in Vermont. So like Allison said, I'm the founder and art director at Maps for Good, where I make maps and digital media for conservation initiatives around the world. We make print maps, interactive maps, photography, videography, and infographics. So a spectrum of what we like to call place-based visual storytelling. And today I want to talk to you guys about a little bit about two projects we've done recently in Chilean Patagonia and off the coast of Northern California. So the reason I got into this stuff in the first place was this insatiable love for getting to know wild places. And I wanted to put my skills to work to give back and help protect some of these places that have given me so much. So the basic premise of what I do is that we only save what we love, and we only love what we know. So if I can make something that helps someone come to know and love a place, they might be inspired to help protect it. So done well, and this is always the goal, a map provides a beautiful spatial structure for telling a story about a place. Maps, a great map will stimulate our imaginations and inspire us to explore. It can be a medium for storing our memories about a place and sharing those memories with our family and friends. So I think a lot of us in this room can relate to the experience of visiting a place with a guide or someone who knows that landscape really well and helps us to see and understand parts of that place that we would have missed on our own. So this is one of my favorite ways to start to get to know a place, because it kind of gives you something to go on. And then you can start to get to know it more and more, discover it for yourself, and start to add your own layers of experience. So this is what we try to do at Maps for Good through cartography. Create maps that not only help you find your way, but maps that you can lose yourself in. Maps that help you see a place a little bit more deeply. And what that comes down to in practice is mapping the hidden narratives, mapping the layers of a landscape that we can't see, but that give it its character and meaning. So this is a great example of what I'm talking about. This is a 1967 map of Antarctica that I pulled out of a dumpster when I was working at National Geographic magazine. They have a lot of extra maps. This map the cartography is clean and beautiful. We've got hachured peaks, a nice coastline, historical ice extents. But what I love most about this map is these well-placed annotations that tell little stories about what's happened here. Like when Admiral Byrd had to overwinter here by himself for 19 weeks, poor guy. These stories help bring the place to life. So today I want to tell you about these two projects we've done recently. And for each project, I want to share a technique that we use to try to collect this kind of information. And of course, this is just one small part of what I do, but it's the part that I want to focus on. So first, we'll go to southern Chile, where we spent the 2013 Austral summer mapping the future Patagonia National Park. So since 2004, a nonprofit called Conservación Patagónica has focused on creating the future Patagonia National Park in one of the most ecologically critical areas of Patagonia. The park unites two existing national reserves, Genimani and Tumango, with the Chacabuco Valley, which was a sheep ranch for 100 years up until 2004. So And the Chacabuco Valley is one of the only valleys that runs east-west across the spine of the Andes. So what you get is this place that's ecologically really neat, where the dry Argentine steppe ecosystem intersects with the wetter Chilean forests. So you get a high diversity of habitat types in a relatively small area. And all of the original species are still there, which is pretty unusual for a restoration project. So the park is a public-private partnership with an area of about 650,000 acres, which, to give you a sense of scale, is about the same size as Yosemite National Park or the state of Rhode Island. So our goal was to create bilingual maps that would bring the park to life and connect people with this place. So we had 3 deliverables, 3 things we wanted to create. First, a geospatial database that would assist park staff with land management decisions and planning. A bilingual and waterproof map and guide, and an interactive map to engage a global audience online. So after a year of preparation and probably only about a day and a half of packing, south we went, young and optimistic. This is me right after renting this car and just moments before teaching myself how to drive stick. And after 3 months in the field and 5 months of production, we published the maps, which are now available in the park, online, and in Patagonia clothing stores across North and South America. They're also in the back if you want to take a closer look. So just like a photographer creates a shot list, as part of the pre-production for any project like this, we create a list of all the geographic content that we need, figure out what's already publicly available, and then make a plan for collecting the rest so that we can check the boxes and know when we're done. So what this, in a place like Patagonia, a lot of this is filling in literal blank spots on the map. So, which meant that we covered a lot of ground in the backcountry with a GPS across all kinds of terrain, grasslands, dense Langa forest, braided rivers and lakes and scree slopes, and big mountains and glaciers, all of which suits me just fine. But then there's my favorite stuff, the hidden narratives. And uncovering those means building relationships with people on the ground who know this place really, really well. And more often than not, this takes place in backcountry cabins over hot mate and warm sopaipilla. And so generally what we did was take working drafts of our map, or the only other existing maps of the place, which were military maps that the gauchos had adapted for ranching purposes, and just mark them up. Fill them with ink or Post-its or whatever we happen to have, but have a conversation on the map. And through doing this a bunch, we got pretty good at journalistic style interviewing, which is to say casual conversation that yields a bunch of great stuff. Because you can't walk in there and say, tell me the most interesting stories about this place. It's more like, how did you get here? What was it like then? Oh, people were bootlegging on horseback from Argentina through this valley. Okay, yeah, tell me more about that. And these are the greatest gifts. It's like Christmas for a cartographer. You get a glimpse at the unique way that someone knows a place. Their mental map made up of 1 million stories from 20 years in a landscape. And the next day you do it again with somebody else and you get totally different stuff. And you do it with enough people, and sooner or later you have some pretty rich content for a map. So that's one way of doing this, and all you need is a draft map and a pen, though hot drinks and snacks in a cozy setting go a long way. So, okay, that was Patagonia. So next, we're going to a little closer to home, though no less wild a place, the Farallon Islands. This is a project I'm in the middle of right now. Does anybody who here knows about the Farallons? Great. So Los Farallones, Spanish for sea cliffs. It's a national wildlife refuge, small archipelago 30 miles west of the Golden Gate Bridge, technically within the city limits of San Francisco. And it's one of the most important seabird and marine mammal breeding colonies on the planet. It's also one of the only national wildlife refuges that is completely closed to the public. There's a lot of really cool birds out there. This is my favorite. This is a northern gannet, which is an Atlantic seabird. This guy right here is the only northern gannet in the entire Pacific. He got off track in the Arctic and came down the wrong coast and has been living on the Farallons for the last 2 years. He lives in the cormorant colony and tries to mate with the cormorants, and they are not having it. Crazy bird. So because it's close to the public, that means that the only people out here are the 6 or 7 hardy and very serious biologists conducting these long-term monitoring studies. And the research is really interesting because both seabirds and marine mammals are great bellwethers for what's happening in the oceans. And the research on the Farallons, which has been going on every day since the 1950s, has told us a lot of what we know about climate change. But because they're closed to the public, that means that very few people, even in the Bay Area, know anything about the Farallons. And this is a place that on a clear day you can see from the city. So because we can't bring the public to the islands, we're trying to bring the islands to the public through a short film and some great maps. So we're out there for a week in May for seabird breeding season, and going out again for 2 weeks in January for marine mammal pupping season, which I'm very excited about. Doing field work out here is totally wild because you are constantly getting dive bombed and pooped on, and it's just sensory overload all the time. And while the Farallons might just look like a big, inhospitable pile of rocks covered in bird poop, which they are, they have this incredibly rich natural and cultural landscape, and those are the hidden narratives that we are trying to capture. So whereas in Patagonia we were using a draft map and a pen, out here we have upped our game a little bit. We're using lavalier microphones, those little mics that clip onto your shirt. They're often used in interviews. And we're using those to casually record our conversations with the biologists as we move through the landscape together. So this is actually not a biologist, and we're not on the Farallons. This is my friend Emily last weekend when I realized I needed this picture. But she's got this wireless mic on the inside of her jacket, and I have her directly in my ears and recording onto a device in my bag. And so, lav mics are great for this purpose because we don't have to write anything down, or for that matter, even remember anything she says, because it's all being recorded. And they're also really small, which means that she forgets that she's wearing one, and so it's easy to have very natural, candid conversations, even though they're being recorded. And so what we do is have GPS recording tracks as we go. So back in the office, we can match the timestamp on the audio recording with the timestamps on the waypoints and know exactly where we were when she's describing something really neat or telling a story about a specific spot. Now, I should mention we did not buy a lav mic and audio recorder just for this purpose. This is stuff we were already using for shooting the short film. But we are psyched with how well it's working for this. It works particularly well because we're making a large-scale map of a very small place. So we're looking for those neat little details. In Patagonia, this wouldn't have worked as well because we were dealing with such a huge landscape. So it made more sense there to do this exercise on a more abstract level using maps. So those are two methods we use for trying to map the hidden narratives of a place to connect people with landscapes, even across great distances, and hopefully, in the long run, make a difference towards protecting them. Both of the projects I spoke about today were made possible in part by support from National Geographic and Patagonia, as well as several other very generous sponsors and our wonderful advisors. So I'm also happy to say that after several great years in Northern California, Maps for Good is relocating to the Pacific Northwest, myself specifically to Seattle. So I'm very keen to get involved here, both with potential clients and collaborators. So if you're interested, or if you have any leads on housing, please, please come talk to me. I would love to meet you. And thank you, UW, for having me. Thanks for your attention.